now I'm just reading one letter Babuji has written to Abhyasis. I mean, every word of his is useful. I'm not selecting which one. I just turned off the page and then I found this. I'm just reading that. This is about knowledge and discrimination. I can't project it, but we'll try to listen. You say that your faith in spirituality is shaking owing to the absence of abiding experience. In this connection, I would like to draw your attention to the following. What is knowledge? And what is the reality of man and the reality of the real? So he's telling, I would like to draw your attention to the following. What is knowledge? And what is the reality of man and the reality of the real? I'll go slowly. If possible, I'll stress again so that people can grasp the idea. Usually, knowledge is thought to be that which comes from the ideas of others, poured into us from their own seeds. Knowledge trickles down drop by drop to form a rivulet. It flows on, producing waves of a similar nature, which bubble and toss in their own way, in variation with each other. These waves gives rise to so many thoughts, which go on growing powerful by the effect of man's over-attention to them. In this way, he becomes soiled with the ideas he has been entertaining. His own force keeps him wrapped within what he has himself accumulated. When it is so, true knowledge of the divine, so plain and simple, shall never dawn. So what I'm saying is, it is relevant to, like you see, I accidentally picked up this page. It is relevant to the community of thoughts he's saying. As long as those community of thoughts are there, he says, divine wisdom, so plain and simple, shall never dawn. So I'll go ahead. Reality lies behind all these screens. It dawns only when one is absorbed in what is real. In other words, it refers to the full development of the discriminative faculty, which distinguishes between the real and the unreal. Reality is revealed when one becomes free from the idea of both real and unreal in a state of balance. The discriminative faculty is of three types. The first, which is the lower type, relates to the feeling of right and wrong, and it is the ordinary level of humanity. This type of consciousness develops by the effect of good association and the study of the scriptures. Now the second type. The second type of discrimination, which is found in men of developed divine consciousness, relates to the feeling of real and unreal. He says it relates to development of feeling of real and unreal. The highest type of super discrimination, as I call it, is found in saints who automatically think and display only that which is right and real. This state comes when one develops divine attributes. At this stage, the knowledge gained from outer sources transforms into divine knowledge, just as the bee transforms flower nectar into honey. All that one has to do for the purpose is to vacuumize himself as far as possible so that the divine knowledge can enter it. The physical knowledge is then left behind, making room for the divine knowledge to percolate into the heart. I do not mean to discourage the study of books, but to be entangled in the intricacies of the words is harmful. If instead man has persistent thoughts of the beloved, it breeds ideas of a similar nature in his heart. Whatever he shall read or hear in that state, he will take it in the correct sense and in a way best suited to his purpose. The reason why Lord Krishna put this deep thought beyond the range of common understanding into Arjuna was that he was in every way up to it. If one ascends up to that level, he can realize it in the true sense. So that's a brief letter he has written. He is telling discrimination is of three types, and he says that as long as the network of thoughts is there, divine wisdom will not come. And he's saying that unless your thought is absorbed in the presence of the divine or the presence of the divine master, that only grants you real knowledge. So you keep on trying to touch or feel his presence as long as it's possible for you. Then as a result of that, the network of thoughts is gone. This is my experience also. What I'm trying to say is that if we develop the skill of meditation, whereby what he says is your attention remains in the center itself. That means our awareness is resting in the body itself. It may be in the heart or it may be in the whole body. If it is remaining in, then as long as the awareness is resting inside you, there is no possibility of you breeding thoughts actually or fantasizing. Most of the people, they fantasize quite a lot, keep on generating continuous thoughts which move in various directions, and it forms a network. We are in that world only. The material world is objects are very little, but the thought and feeling world in our inner mind is huge, and we live in those mental world which we have created. Instead of keeping awareness and feeling our heartbeat, which is nothing but the manifestation of God, if we feel that thing, I think then the network will be broken, and then you start the vikalpa, which is one of the class of vrittis, which 99% of the human population live in imagination only. Like, for example, half the suffering of corona is not real breathlessness, but the fear of breathlessness. That is all vikalpa on the imagination. So most of us give wide birth to our imagination. We keep on imagining several things instead of practicing meditation, and instead of living in the consciousness of the master, which is a skill which can be acquired with practice. If they have come online, now we'll go ahead with that part.
So we'll first start with Ranjit's paper.
Namaste, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to share my understanding of the Master's message as I understand it now. This is a message taken from the Master's article titled Craving of the Soul. And it says, our duty is to grasp it firmly and stick to it at all costs. The renunciation develops automatically in our system. The Master is exhorting us to grasp it, what is truly significant, try and understand what is really important, and try and grasp it and keep hold on it. He explains to us that we have our own ideas and our thinking revolves around it. And we are so caught up in it, so opinionated, that everything comes to us and it's colored in it. And thus we react rather than respond in a considered manner. For instance, in my case, I have so much of my own ideas that I'm lost in it, and anything that my wife or my brother or anybody says, it sort of percolates it through it. And I'm not able to really observe it or really give a considered response to it. Rather, I'm reacting to it in terms of the rules that I already have in my head. I seem to react out of that. When human beings are newborn babies, they seem to have no opinions. They even accept someone other than their natural parents as parents. As days pass by, human beings form ideas about who is a parent, friend, what is pleasant, important, and so on. And thereafter, the shift continues further and further from that state of innocence of a child. Ideas of beauty, ambition, career, fame, wealth, they begin to take shape and become strong currents in our thinking. This in turn motivates us towards action, and sometimes this leads us to pleasant successes, and other times disappointments and despair results. And while all this is going on, the larger nature is at work too. which we seem to take for granted and don't pay any attention to it. Our sense of wonder is rather dimmed due to our thought patterns. However, nature is quietly working. It's moving our breath, pumping our blood, running our pancreas, digestion, and a multitude of processes unknown to us. It is also moving the planet and the solar system quietly. It is giving life to all the greenery, birds, and animals. And despite all our material advancement, we are unable to create a natural living leaf, an ant, or a drop of milk. And we cannot even dream of moving the earth or creating radiation like the sun. Thus, if we compare our endeavors to those of nature, it is quite minuscule. Yet our eyes are turned away from that, from what is immense to what is really small. In a material analogy, if a material analogy were to be made, it is as if we are blinded to billions while we are fussing over small change. Master is exhorting us to become alert to what is truly unfathomable and not losing sight of it, and that it is our duty to do so. When we take to proper meditation in our system, our ability to go inward starts to develop as we begin to meditate on the divine light present in the heart. First, we experience some calmness and lightness of heart and spirit, which allows us to get out from under the clutches of materialistic thoughts. And this could be seen as a beginning of vairagya. Later in the message, Master says, people will be attracted when they know our method is correct. And indeed, we need to consider if we are radiating light, bringing light, or instead, are we the problem that we seem to think is outside of us? For instance, if we notice the effect on abhyasis when they're around Babuji, Sri KCN, and many other folks in our system, versus what do our family and friends feel around us? Do they see something better and nobler at work to feel encouraged by us? Or do they still see a confused grasp between something better and the mundane, like career, finances, some spirituality, some goodness, etc.? Master says, give a fair trial and have your own experience versus us unfairly being distracted, having an incomplete experience. And even if we are distracted, have lapses, if we fairly analyze, it will point us to what we lost, the lightness in our hearts and clarity in our minds, which again only proves to us that the method is actually correct, even when we have our own lapses and misses. He says, problems are there for humanity. Problems are there for humanity, according to Babuji. A few days earlier, I was attending a class about work and related challenges. And first of all, I was surprised that there were 100 people attending from around the world. Second, the instructor used the term VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. If humanity is feeling such conditions, there are problems, and it seems people are seeking something better. And Master is asking us to awaken to something better, something nobler, and grasp it. To do so, he says, it needs purpose or goal, determination, love, patience, and cooperation. Thus, he guides us to put our attention gently on the heart, not intensely, full of ourselves and our effort, but gently, with as little of ourselves, as subtly as we possibly can on that given day. The system gives us a determination, the hope, and the practical experience of being closer and closer to the divine reality, which is present within us. We may have to work more, and sometimes there seems to be setbacks. But there's a clear sense of progress and a clear sense of purpose in our endeavors, and that I feel is the love of the Master showering on us. Thank you. Love and regards.
Thank you, Brother Ranjit.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Any questions, comments?
One comment I want to make, he has mentioned that billions are there and then we are talking about small change. When you use that word, immediately Kabir saying flashed into my mind, where he says, for a diamond, your life is valuable as a diamond. You exchange it for a few cowries, he says. That means we are not giving any value to our life. Actually, God is sitting inside us and our real nature is God, but we do not know our real nature. And we do not know the real nature of other person. And so we are actually fighting in ignorance. But Babuji is telling that you know your true nature, and that is your divine nature. And that is extremely valuable. But we have exchanged that valuable thing for a few pennies, actually. That is a famous saying of Kabir. I mean, he's brought out that point there. That is true. Man is very narrow-minded. He's looking at life from a very narrow perspective. Just a comment, that's all. Thanks, it's a good paper.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move to the next speaker if there is no more question or comments. Brother Sandeep Yadav.
Namaste, dear brothers and sisters. My humble pranams to all of you. The topic of the seminar is our duty is to grasp it firmly and stick to it at all cost. The renunciation develops automatically in our system. Showers of Divine Grace, chapter number 8, Craving of the Soul, page number 160. Based on my understanding, I would like to share some of my thoughts as below. Number 1, community of thought. Number 2, our job. Number 3 is renunciation. Community of thought. We have set up type of thought pattern and we all the time would like to dwell or think on those. Most of the time, we all get these types of thoughts in our meditation. And those thoughts seek our attention. Example, nowadays, Corona news or updates related to that. Politics, sports, stock prices, job market, etc., etc. The question is why we are getting these kind of thoughts. Below are some of the reasons from my understanding. Number 1, our liking to subject or habit of doing the same. Number 2, impact of those thoughts which has a direct connection to our life. Example, it could be a fear or opportunity or aspiration. Another thing is external environment's inputs. Outside world is talking in the same line or feeding you those things. The thoughts which we get during meditation will give an idea on what consciousness we are dwelling. Now our job as an Abhyasi is, number 1, we need to be vigilant on type and nature of thoughts we are getting and make a note of these in our diary. Number 2, acceptance of our own consciousness or mistakes we are doing is must, because that will bring direction to work on those. Number 3, we need to be very open and have courage to discuss with our trainer for solution of those. Number 4, follow earnestly all the practices provided by the master. We know it's easily said than done, and we often find challenge in following them. If you trace back the problem, you will see the issue is not because we don't have time, or methods are difficult, or insufficient support of the system, but it boils down to clarity and priority of goal. We have set up many different goals and priority in our life based on our profession or liking or hobbies. Example, if someone in finance or IT background wants to excel in their position, learn new technology as one goal, want to start new firm as another goal, someone wanted to work on any sports or hobbies, etc., etc. And we also have a spiritual goal too. So now, what should we do with these different goals? Our master says we need to fly with both the wings. Everyone has their own goals, but we need to be very clear on our primary goal, which is permanent, and rest of the goals are temporary. Here comes the real test of our viveka, which we need to use very wisely. And obviously, we need to work and focus on primary goal. We are very fortunate by blessings of the master, Pranahuti, and assistance of our brothers and sisters. At least we know these thoughts are the cause of our bondages and reminds us again and again of our goal. So the big question is why we are whirled into these thoughts again and again and could not able to stick to thought of our goal. The problem is owning of condition we get during meditation, satsangs, celebrations, individual sitting. We need to hold on to it as much as possible. Contemplation on the condition in his thought helps a lot. It helps for constant remembrance. Now, about renunciation. If you follow earnestly all the practices provided by the master by keeping primary goal in view all the time, then slowly and gradually you will start developing love, warmth, devotion to the master. The greatest boon in our system is blessing of the master, Pranahuti, and assistance of our brothers and sisters, which makes the path easier and eventually all the methods find so simpler to follow. All we need is fix our goal, will to achieve, faith in the master and methods, and confidence. Never give up or underestimate yourself. Our system is a positive system, and approach of the system is very positive. If we observe carefully, most of our commandment gets easier to follow, provided we attach ourselves to divine. Once load of mala, vikshepa, avarana is reduced, we are sure to feel the renunciation on many aspects in our life. And it will automatically come. You don't need to forcefully stop or leave on whatever your belongings, property, money, habits, etc. But the weight of those bondages will come down sooner. I still remember during one of the celebrations talk, Pujya Sir saying, Vairagya is not detachment to things, but attaching more to the divine, which will reduce all other attachments. I'd like to share a few of my experiences here. Many years I have witnessed my condition before the celebration and after the celebration. It reminds me the game of snakes and ladder. Snakes are nothing but our lower and material thoughts, which bites us and takes us down. And ladders are nothing but help I am getting through the system. In my case, my liking, attachment to work and money keeping me busy in these thoughts pattern. Example, I need to learn something new for securing my job or earning more money, fame, position, or there is a fear of losing job, etc. But when I dig down further, I saw the issue with contentment and want more attitude. The greatness of the master is such that he is always guiding us during silence. The kind of freedom and bliss we enjoy during meditation removes all the bondages, obstacles on the path. It has greatly reduced the impressions of those thoughts. Whenever I get these kind of thoughts, then it reminds me back to my original goal. Thoughts such as what to do with all these assets and efforts we are doing. It's anyways not going to help for our goal because very nature of it is temporary. I may get satisfaction or more position, but that is not going to help in my goal, but rather will take time or keep me busy on those thought pattern, and only thing which will go with us is the amount of progress we made in spiritual field. From my experience, though, I get these thoughts, but the intensity of those thoughts, those goes away quickly, and it doesn't stand longer. And that is the blessing of the master. I would like to quote master here. He says, spirituality is my responsibility, as practice is your responsibility. In our system, our connection with the master is firmly established. And he is giving us signals and guidance in our day-to-day life. Our duty is keeping our goal in view all the time. We go on reducing the distance between him by having remembrance all the time, so that we don't miss the signals and the guidance coming from him and act on it. I'd like to conclude my paper with prayer. Thou art the real goal of human life. We are yet but slaves of wishes. Thou art the only God and power to bring us up to that state. Thank you for the opportunity. Pranam.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep. We feel happy to hear such papers, and we see the blessings of the master in you and the awakened Viveka in you. Thanks a lot. It gives us confidence to the whole group that, people are progressing by following the method of the master. We can see a lot of Viveka oozing out from your paper. Thanks a lot again. We'll listen to that Sir's talk on this craving of the soul. So this is a talk given by revered Sir about the craving of the soul. Each paragraph he'll be giving his commentary, so we will be able to get into the essence of what Babuji is trying to say while listening to Sir's talk.